Assalamu alaikum. This poem is called Kings and Queens. We were meant to be kings and queens. I swear to God we were. To be noble men and women who kneel to pray 5 times a day and teach their children how to love and what du'as to recite to keep the jinns at bay. But we became enslaved by the chains that destroyed our fathers. Chains that trained you to hate me and taught me to be suspicious of the subtle differences between your dialect and mine, as if the fact that you look just like me meant nothing if you didn't speak like me, because in Somalia, the difference between life and death lies in whether you speak with a Noor or a Deh. You see, these chains say that we should never marry because you use the Suli and I use the Musqul, and even though we fell in love in English and would happily share a toilet, even though we fell in love in English and would happily share a toilet, our families would never see eye to eye because honestly, you and I, we would never have met back home. These chains are the chains of tribalism that have held our nation captive for years, passing from father to son, mother to daughter. They have caged themselves into the spirit of every child who cannot forget, who cannot release the hate of his elders. They exist in the mind of every Abo who refuses to give his daughter to the man she loves. But worst of all, they are in the heart of every Hoyo who, after burying her child, prays that he will go to Jannah, then sends her curse upon entire tribes. Darod badi kena kaba, Isaac bana biye, Ilaha yo, dulka lagoy, Ilaha yo, dulka lagoy, Ilaha yo. Doesn't she know that the reason we collapsed on top of ourselves like a broken heart was because we forgot how to forgive? Doesn't she know that we became slaves when we placed hate in tribal names and allowed the blood of our brothers and sisters to soak into the land? And did she forget that back home, we made sujood on red sand with the warmth of human flesh, and wallahi, you could still hear the screams as you prayed, and it became too difficult to distinguish which cry came from which tribe when warlords aimed their guns at everyone and we had to flee. We had to flee. We had to flee. But I say alhamdulillah, because now we are far enough away from the pain to be able to look from the outside in. And even though we hurt for our dead, we have been given the blessings of being able to rationalize in 2 tongues, so that when Somali sits too heavy on the heart, we can dilute it with English. Let's take the hawar away from the dua, the qabiyalat away from the qabil, and replace it with sabr and iman. And let's know one another as Allah intended, as one nation made up of tribes but united. We are the leaders of tomorrow, and this is our chance to be free, to teach our children to be free, and let's be the kings and queens that I swear to God we were meant to be. Thank you very much.